Today's lesson class is going to be adding and subtracting integers. Before we get started, let's talk about a little vocabulary. These words you're going to need to know if you don't already know. This is kind of a 6th grade skill. We're going to talk about negative, and I want to use with negative red. Because usually when you're dealing with money and you're dealing with negative numbers, they go down. That means pretty much less. Okay? So one of the words is less. Another word is backwards. It means you're going back. Please make sure you're writing these notes because you're going to need to reference these vocabulary words. Subtract indicates a negative. Decrease. Sorry about the misspelled word. It's D-S-C-E-N-D. Descend. Decrease. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry, y'all. Withdraw. Below. And when we say below, we need to know it's something that's going to be below 0. And just also below. Left. That's the key word of 0. Loss. Take away. Decline. Down. Fall. Sink. Degrade. Also with that, there's some other words we'll talk about. These are going to be helpful words to know when we do word problems. So please keep that in mind, and we will be doing word problems throughout the lesson, okay? So let's talk about positive. I like to use green for positive. This is really pretty much means you might have some money. So that's going to be going up and plus. More indicates positive side. Forward. Add. Ascend. Increase. Deposit. And if you notice, these are kind of some of the opposites of each one of these words. Above 0. Above. Right. We're going to talk about the number line later. Of 0. Gain. Add to. Incline. Up. Rise. Float. Upgrade. Those are some of the words that we're going to talk about. That if you see these words in a word problem or just in general, it will tell you what kind of number you're dealing with. Second set of notes. Integers. Let's do a number line. On the right side of the number line, going to be where all of my positives are. So we're going to put 0 as a neutral number, okay? So then we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the left side, we might have our negatives. That would be -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. That's how our number line would be set up, okay? And the farther you go to the left, the less you have. And the farther you go to the right, it increases, okay? So, let's talk about what an integer is. An integer is a set of whole, keyword is whole numbers. Haven't gotten to the 7th grade lesson yet. Whole numbers and their opposites. So it's a set of whole numbers and their opposites. So let's talk about whole numbers. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the opposites would be what? There's no opposite for 0. -1, -2, -3, -4. Another thing we want to keep in mind, kind of said this before, but we're going to say it again. Remember, 0 is in the middle. So as you go to the right, sorry, that's the bell. The numbers get bigger. And as you go to the left, the value of the number gets smaller. So let's keep that in mind. The bigger the negative, the smaller the value. I'll give you some time to copy that down. Okay. So now let's talk about adding integers. This pink pen, hadn't used that today. So first step, one way of doing it is circle the number and the sign. Step 2, identify the signs. You circle them, so that's going to be a positive. This is going to be a negative. And the third step to remember is that like signs, you got the like sign, so you have two positives. You add the numbers and keep the sign. But if you have unlike signs, it's a separate operation. Sorry, I messed up. You subtract the number and that's going to be the smallest number, and keep the sign of the bigger number. Okay. So let's do an example. Here's an example. I'm not sure. You have 5 plus 6. So we're going to circle them. Sign goes in front. So this is going to be a positive and a positive equals 5 because the signs are alike. We add them together. 5 plus 6 is 11. Okay? Everybody got that one? Let's try another one. Negative 4 plus a negative 3. So we got a negative. Circle the signs. So we have a negative and a negative. So we're going to have negative 4. So we're going to add them together because it says add. And the signs are the same. So 3 plus 4 is 7, and we're going to keep the sign. So it's going to be a negative 7. Let's do another one. Let's make it a little, take it up a degree. 6 plus negative 20. Circle the signs. So here we have a positive, and here we have a negative. So what does it say? The signs are different, so we're going to subtract 6 from 20, which is 14. Then we take the sign of the larger number, absolute value of this, and that's going to be a negative. 14 is your answer. Let's do a little harder one. 6 plus negative 20 plus 41. Circle our signs. So here we have a positive and a positive, and here we have a negative. So let's put our like signs together. So that's going to be, we can go to left to right. Let's do left to right. So it's going to be 6 from 20, which gives us negative 14 plus 41. It's positive. It's a negative. Equals. Now we're ready to subtract. That's going to be 27. It's going to take 14 from 41, 27. The sign of the largest number is a positive, so that's going to be a positive 27. Now let's talk about subtracting integers. First step is what we call swoosh. And if possible, if we have, for an example, 5 minus a negative 3, swoosh them together because a negative, subtracting a negative and a negative actually makes that, these signs right here, I should have done that, makes them a positive. So that would be 5 plus 3. Okay, so if you're subtracting a negative, it becomes a positive. Okay. Second, circle the number and the sign. Just like it's going to be, then 3, you're going to identify them. Positives. And it's a positive row, sorry. And your negatives. And 4, you're going to go back and follow the adding, the rules of adding. So you're going to put the signs together. You're going to actually so let's do an example. Five minus 2 this is technically positive and this is a negative, equals 2 from 5 is 3. 5 is the largest, so it takes the value. Second problem. Identify each one. This is going to be a positive. This is going to be a negative. 6 from 19 is 13. Sign of the largest number is 19, so it's going to be a negative. Second example. 20 minus a negative 6. Got a negative and negative, so we swish it together. So now a positive and a positive, and that's going to equal 26. Let's do one more example. Negative 10 minus negative 13 minus 12. So let's identify these. A negative. I'm going to swish these together. This now is a positive. This is a negative. Let's do one problem at a time. So that's going to be a 3 minus 12. Let's identify again. It's going to be a positive and a negative. And that's going to equal 3 from 12 is 9. Sign of the large number is a negative, so it's going to be a negative 9. There is another way I want to show you also. This is just kind of helped me. You might like the first way. If the first way works for you, fine. If it doesn't, you can try this one. I like to think that when you're dealing with integers, positive and negative numbers, you're no longer subtracting. So you're adding every single thing. So for this example, let's take the same ones we've already done and redo them this way. So if you have 5 minus 2, you can rewrite it as your new problem, which is make it an addition problem, and the number that comes back behind it, you're going to add its opposite. So you will have 5 plus negative 2. Then you would go back to the adding rules, which is 2 from 5 is 3, and 5 is the largest number, so your answer is 3. Let's do the second one. 6 minus 19. Change this to a positive. We're going to add its opposite, which it would be a negative 19. 6 from 19 is 13. The largest number is negative, so it will be a negative 13. So you see that both ways work. One's just you're adding its opposite. So if we do 20 minus negative 6. Oops, I wrote 16. Sorry, y'all. So what you're going to do is add its opposite. Add a positive 6. So 20 plus 6 is 26. That's just two ways that you can do it. How you want to do it is strictly up to you. And I'm going to give you a second video where we're going to work a few more problems, and then we're going to talk about a word problem, okay? Thank you.